Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today, we're diving into Regional Management Corp's latest filing, a 10Q report. It's like their quarterly checkup, but instead of a doctor poking around, it's the SEC and us. This report gives us a peek under the hood, and spoiler alert, there are some interesting shifts in their financial engine, but it's definitely not a car crash, at least not yet. We'll be seeing where their money is coming from, where it's going, and what potential potholes they see on the road ahead. Before we start, if you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, make sure you're subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below, so come join us and let's decode some corporate reports. First things first, this report covers the first quarter of 2025, ending in March. It's basically a snapshot of how they were doing at the start of the year. Let's jump straight into the good stuff, the financials. Their interest and fee income, which is basically how much they're making off the loans they give out, is up, but only a bit. At 13.66 down at row at bit of 136.6 million da. Last year, for the same period, it was at $128 at 12 yarn archer. Now here's where things get a little more interesting. Their provision for credit losses, that's the money they're setting aside in case people don't pay back their loans, jumped up to $58 million compared to $46.4 million the previous year, a bigger jump than total revenue. This could signal a bit of turbulence in the water, potentially meaning they expect more people to have trouble repaying. Something that didn't change much, at least at first glance, is the stockholders' equity, going from $357.9 million to $357.9 million. We also see about 9.9 million shares outstanding. Looking at per share earnings, basic earnings per share dropped from 1.59 last year to $0.73 $73.56 to 0.70 cents, meaning earnings are diluted down to almost half its index to 0.70 cents to 0.70 olifants. What contributed to the increase in interest and fee income? The report says that the volume in large and small loans made a big difference. However, total revenue decreased while total expenses increased. This was especially notable with personnel and marketing expenses. Okay, let's zoom out and see how their cash is flowing. The company is talking about $63 and $74 and $75 are investing activities. They highlight repayments of finance receivables, which tells us the company is getting good money back. For financing activities, however, regional management is using around $12 million. This means the company is taking loans to fund its operations. A bit further down, you'll find a section about accounting policies. Let's take a moment to highlight some of their policies related to variable interest entities. The company uses VIS, which are bankruptcy remote special purpose entities. Assets transferred to each VIA are legally isolated to increase creditworthiness of the VIA's debt, which makes it easier to take loans. The allowance for credit losses calculation heavily relies on reasonable and supportable forecasts. They also have to account for changes to their lending strategies and underwriting practices. They use external ratings to help ensure that the forecasts are reasonable. The company renews delinquent, secured or unsecured loan accounts if the customer meets their underwriting criteria. It doesn't appear the cause of past delinquency will affect the customer's ability to repay. Let's take a look at the statement of cash flows, which helps us understand where the cash really flows. Under cash flow from operating activities, the company reports $72,000 of deferred taxes. The origination of finance receivables, which is how much new debt the company is creating, shows a use of $394 million, as opposed to proceeds from collections on finance receivables showing $338 million. With the lease assets going down, the lease liability is going up, which means they're probably doing some sale leasebacks on their offices. There's always a section on commitments and contingencies. Basically, it's a legal disclaimer about potential lawsuits or other financial obligations they might have down the road. In particular, the company could face potential repercussions as a result of entering a consent agreement with the CFPB. Worth pointing out, the report indicates that the registrant isn't a shell company. Now to a critical section, risk factors. We need to understand what management worries about. One recurring thing is regulation. In particular, the changes to the CFPB guidelines can be risky to the business model. The CFPB can come down hard if they think a company is engaging in unfair, deceptive, or abusive practices. Okay, so what's the takeaway here? Regional Management Corp is operating in a tough environment. We can see the rising provision for credit losses pointing to concerns about borrowers paying back their loans. Expenses are going up too, especially as it relates to debt and marketing, which further erodes net profits. On a more positive note, portfolio size increased a bit and delinquency are down a bit, but they can easily change. Overall, while Regional Management Corp is showing revenue growth, the bottom line is taking a hit. This company's success will depend on keeping customers paying loans and adapting to the ever-changing regulatory landscape. What do you think about Regional Managements Corporation? Let us know what are your thoughts in the comments. If you found this analysis useful, please give us a like. Subscribe to Corporate Decoder for more simplified insights and join our Discord community where people just like yourself are decoding finance daily. See you in the next video.